project here, trying to finish out the year strong. So I need to start being better about time management because I do these videos towards the end of the night. So if I get busy and I get distracted, then I'm like, oh, look at that, it's already like 11:30, which right now it's like 1:30 in the morning. So I'm a bit of a night owl. Question of the day: are you a night owl like me, or are you a early morning person? Also, side note, I am starting to use Twitter a little more, so if you're on the Twitter, @Tingle Triggers, I think there's a link in somewhere. Just find it. But yeah, trying to tweet a little more on my the ASMR Twitter. To find maybe a new way to interact with people. So anyway, speaking of, there's something I'm pretty passionate about. I've always had trouble sleeping, which is part of the reason why I have this channel, and a White Noise channel. I have 2 YouTube channels to help people fall asleep. But this concept that you have to be a morning person to be productive, like, I'm super productive, I think, and I'm up all hour. I'm up till like 3 o'clock, like almost every day. Like, even if I have to get up early for a shoot, I'm probably still gonna be awake till like 1 or 2 a.m. Like, it's just a given at this point. And I think part of that's the reason why I do freelance stuff, is because that you can, like, you're kind of allowed, to do that. And then I can, like, work 2 or 3 days, with like reduced sleep, and then I could have like the 4th day is off and I could just sleep. So that's really nice to have that sort of lifestyle. And also, I come home from a shoot and I walk bare, and then I just pass out usually, and then I wake up, and then I work on my own stuff. So I'll shoot, leave the apartment at like 8 a.m., shoot till like 5, 6, come home, walk bare, eat food, pass out till like 10 or 11, get up, do some stuff, go to bed at 2, wake up, do it again, And it's pretty rare that I'll work on anything that's more than 3 days in a row. It does happen, once or twice a year. You'll get, maybe 2 jobs back to back, so those are kind of rough. You just pound a Red Bull and some coffee, and just keep going. But this idea that, like, you have to be awake, I don't think that's and here's the thing that I think is that, first of all, you should work when it's best for you. You should try different times of the day and see what you naturally kind of respond to, because you will be different. And it might be worth trying to get up, for a week or 2 super early and seeing if that's the time for you, because for some people it does work, but for me, not so much. Like, if I had my preference, I would like to wake up naturally with no alarm, so that usually means waking up around 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, sometimes a little later, depending on how late I'll stay in bed, and I'll just hang out in bed for a little bit, and catch up on some social media, cuddle up with Bear, I might put on a movie in bed and just watch a movie, and then I'll get up, and then around noon, I'll do kind of personal stuff, personal chores, doing some dishes, doing the laundry, cleaning up the apartment, take Bear out, might go pick up my girlfriend for lunch, and then come home, by that time it's like 2, 3 o'clock, and that's when I get to work, if, I had my druthers, I would start working around 4 o'clock, like, every day. Like, that's when I'm productive, like that 4, and even later, some days like 4, I'll start a little bit and just follow up with things, and then, take a break, come back, and then really at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, that's kind of when the magic happens. So the earlier day, I'm just kind of setting stuff up, getting stuff ready, and so usually the first thing I'll do as part of my work day will be make an ASMR video, and then I'll pop over back to the editing computer back there, and I'll start doing my edits. But, that's what works for me, and I think it's, a lot of people are like, oh, you gotta get up early to be productive, because if in the morning no one can distract you, it's like, you know what, motherfucker, like, at night no one can distract you either. Like, I can make a conscious decision, and that's what I like, is that at night it's an open highway. In the morning, eventually the phone is going to start ringing. Eventually the emails are going to start coming. People are going to start bugging you. You can get up at 4 a.m. and, start working at 5 a.m. But by like 8, 9 o'clock, people are going to start bugging you. Whereas, if I start at 8 or 9 o'clock at night and I can go. I know that I'm going to be tired the next day if I have to get up, but I can go as long as I want. No one's going to bother me. If I start at 8 a.m., if I start at 8 p.m., by the time 8 a.m. rolls around where people start bugging me, I am so burned, like 12 hours. If I could put 12 hours in, like that never happens. And I'm putting in 12 hours of like pounding work, But I can do that, and I could just go. I could just hit the highway. I could just drive till the car runs out of gas, and there's nothing to stop me. In the morning, you're gonna hit roadblocks. So that's my thing. My takes. All right. I think all sleep matters. I think there's like always been this like demonization of like, oh, lazy bones sleep until noon. Like, great. That means they were up late, like working on stuff. Good for them. And even if the thing they were working on was video games, like that's still like that tells you like that's when they work best. So it's like, okay, let's give you a project, something you're passionate about, something that interests you as much as video games do, because that stuff's out there, I promise you. And we'll get your hands to work on it. And hey, before you know it, like you're churning out novels at night. You're churning out YouTube videos at night. You're doing your woodworking craft at night. Maybe pissing people off, so maybe move out to the country with that stuff. But yeah, you get the idea, right? You gotta figure out when you work best, and really the only way to do that is to try a couple different things. The downside to this is it's very hard to have a significant other who is on kind of that morning. If they work the 9 to 5 and you work the night shift. That's a good song, by the way. This is a song by oh man, it's called Night Shift. I think it's Lucy something. But it's a song about, when you break up with somebody, you don't want to see them, so you work the night shift. Anyway. But yeah, if they work the 9 to 5, you work the night shift. Sometimes you're going to bed when they're waking up. Like that was the situation I had with an old girlfriend who had to like open, and she worked from home. So like I would be up till 4 o'clock, 4:30, and she would like wake up around then to like go to work. We'd just walk across the hall. And so I remember like it was difficult for a while because it was hard to mesh up our schedules. Because it was like I was sleeping when she was working, and she was sleeping when I was working. So there was like some period there that it actually did work pretty well, I think. But she disagreed with that because I always wanted to start working at like 8 or 9 o'clock, and she's like, let's go out or like come to bed and like cuddle, because she didn't want to go to bed alone, which I was like, I can respect. When you look back, you're like, man, I was kind of a shitty boyfriend sometimes, because I was like, I gotta work, and it's like, well, why don't you get on my schedule and work with me? And I don't think she ever understood that was like a conscious choice of like, look, I understand like you have to open because you're the new manager and that's how that works, but like I can work when I want to, and I choose to work when I work best, which is at night. So and that's just how it was, but you look back and hindsight's 20/20 and all that. I think Bear's having little dreams. I heard him make a little snork. He's sleeping in his fort just down below. Speaking of, somebody posted asking me to do an apartment tour, which I'm like, okay, that could be interesting, but my apartment is a total mess. So, I could just pan it around, and here's the tour without moving anything. Let's see. That's some art. That's a chair. That's a lamp and a table. And there's also a plant and a bunch of books that I want to read, and some lotion for my feet, because my feet get really dry. That's my couch. Then on this side, we got my editing desk with my editing chair. We got my bookshelf, which my girlfriend hates where it's placed, and my big TV. There's your tour. Yeah. And we could even are a mess. Like everything in that tube, right? The tub is like a mess. If we pan this around, we got some plants. That plant's not doing so hot. There's kitchen. And this thing right here, I want to grip a microphone to it. I don't know how well that probably looks super out of focus. So there's your short tour. And if you want to see it this way, TV, we got Bear's bowl right there for the food, and some art. That's some art for Bear. Let's see, it's a big bear if you can't tell. It's done by a local tattoo artist by the name of Dave Koenig. He's really good. I got a couple of his pieces. Let's see. There's some stuff on my desk. Let's see. There's the light right here, and then you can see some photos I took. And there's 2 art prints right there by a guy named I think he goes by Mr. Pants on Instagram. He's one of my favorite people. He does a lot of funny stuff. Anyway, so there's your dollar tour. That's not even a dollar tour, it's a 10-cent tour. I'll figure out how to do that. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I'll probably need to put a wide lens on and get like a wireless mic or something, or figure out how to mount this mic directly on the camera. It's a very big camera. But I'll do it. I also probably need to straighten up. Or is it better if I don't straighten up and I just show you like, this is how I'm living? You can see my plants that are dying. I have, like these plants. I got some new ones, and I'm like, man, they just do not look healthy. And I'm just like, well, I'm kind of bummed about that. And this one, the one looks like it's really gonna keel over here any day. But like my other plants are doing okay. I got a peace lily back there. I've got some snake plants. I've got 2 pothos in my bedroom. I've got another pothos out here that's lived for about 2 years now. It's doing pretty good. It's just these like spider plants look awful, and this Calathea, I don't know how to pronounce it. It looks super bad. So you win some, you lose some. I think if you're new to plants, get snake plants. They're like, or mother's tongue is what they call them sometimes. They just grow straight up out of the earth, and they look like leaves. Those are in my bathroom, and like I dig them out like once a week to get some sun, and they're just like, whatever, we don't care, we're just here. So I'm gonna just, when these eventually die, and I'm sure they will soon, I'll probably replace them with, I'll just get a bunch of snake plants and be like, this is what I have. I like plants, but like, I'm not that good at taking care of them, so, and I want a lot of them, so I'll just get a bunch of the easy to care for ones. Anyway. Yeah, days are going interesting. I got some work lined up this week. 2, maybe 3 jobs, which is pretty cool. Been doing my stonk markets, which again, I guess I really keep talking about doing the stonk. I gotta do this stock ASMR video. I think I'm trying to decide if I want to do that as a series or if I just want to do it as like one big effing video, because I think if I talked about like everything I know about the stock market, which to be fair isn't much, I've been doing pretty good. Your kid's doing pretty good, but also the market's doing very well too. So it's one of those things where I'm like, you get your money in, it's a good time because like things are going up. So, but that also means eventually what goes up has to come down. But I think when I talk to people, I talk to my friends, like so many of them like don't understand what they're investing in, don't understand. They just like, oh, we have a 401k match and I'm doing that, and you're like, cool, but like sometimes they have like management fees, and those management fees can just eat you up, and it's just like, whoa, like so many people are just getting hoodwinked hard, and I'm like, man, if I could help people fall asleep and manage their finances so they could sleep better, because that's something that keeps me up at night some days. It's like, am I gonna be able to make rent? Like, fuck. I know, but I always know, like, well, I've got now enough in the stock market that I can pull rent. I'd probably have 6 months of rainy day fund before I would have to like put stuff on credit cards. So that's good. My financial, it wasn't always like that though. There's been months, even at the beginning of this year, like I didn't really have, I guess I always had a couple thousand in the stock market, but it wasn't 6 months worth. It was like when the coronavirus hit and I had to get surgery, I was like, shit, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make this work. I thought real hard about, because my lease was up right then. I was like, man, should I just move out and like go back to my parents till this blows over? And I was like, nah, keep the faith, like you can do it. And rode the storm, work came back. So, I don't love the idea of like having to go work, but like I'm very fortunate that I don't have to like have a service job or something like that. Like I don't know how those people, like if you're a waiter at a restaurant or a bartender, like man, bless you, like I don't know, that's gotta be rough. I can't imagine. Or especially like a teacher who has to like be an IT person now and like do all this networking stuff that like I as a AV professional don't fully understand and like couldn't help you with. Like good luck, man. Fuck, like you just got thrown to the wolves. It's hard out there, like I don't know a lot about the student debt cancellation. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't quite fully understand it myself. If it was up to me, I'm gonna say healthcare is more important, because I think healthcare affects everybody, whereas student loan debt just kind of affects, the people that went to college and are paying off like high debts. But like the healthcare system needs a lot of work, and I think if anything needs to get corrected, especially with how many people are going to have pre-existing conditions now that they had got COVID, or diabetes is going through the roof, heart is going through the roof. Like if we don't figure out our healthcare system in the next like 10 to 20 years, we're going to get just absolutely slammed as like people that, like imagine people that are like 40 now, 50 now, not healthy at all, like 10 years from now, like they're not doing anything to like turn that around. So 10 years, they're all going to be diabetic, they're all going to be heart attack risks. The effects that has on your brain, your mental cognition, that's going to probably be in effect. And like our hospitals are just going to be slammed with all this. So it's like, that's something that needs to get fixed like ASAP. And it's not going to be, it's a big pile of spaghetti to untangle. I don't know how that's going to get done. But that said, I think if you're like a healthcare worker or even probably teachers and you have student debt going through and you like worked through the COVID, I think if nothing else, those people should get something, some kind of break, some kind of like tax forgiveness, some kind of like interest-free debt deferment, like where it's like, okay, like here's a loan of, like you've got $100,000 of student debt or whatever, like here's $100,000 from the government, we're gonna pay it off, you pay us back, and it's interest-free. Like that, at least that, like holy crap, I think that would do a lot of good for a lot of people. And I think in general, here's where I think I stand on the student loan. I think there's so much opposition going back and forth on both sides that I don't think anything's going to get done. And I think it is a problem because a lot of these loans were predatory in nature. I think you just do what they're doing with payday loans right now and cap the interest rate. And I think you'd have a very hard time finding people that could argue against a reasonable interest rate cap. Because I could see the argument on both sides, like, well, you knowingly entered this contract, but like, okay, yeah, but they were 18, and like, they didn't know any better, and their whole lives people have been saying, go to college, go to college, go to college, and that's not panning out for a lot of people, and the college has gone through the roof. So it's predatory on a lot of levels. But like, yeah, you could have gone to community college locally, like, you don't do something you can't afford, but there's no voice of reason there being like, everyone's just like, go to college, but no one's like, because even with community college, people will like, parents and stuff will keep you like, that's not real college. And you're like, it doesn't matter, man. Like, college, it just is. Like, it's a thing. I guess you have to have it for a lot of things, but like, the actual college you go to, I don't think matters at all. You know, if it's not Ivy League, if you're not in the top % of your Ivy League, your Harvard Business School, like, it doesn't matter if you go to the University of Nebraska at Lincoln or if you go to a community college. I don't think anyone really cares that much, you know. There is something to be said for the connections the school may be able to provide you, but that's on a case-by-case basis, so. But yeah, you could save $5,000, $10,000 going to community college for a couple years and then transferring over to the university just so you get that piece of paper that has the university name on it. Cool. But I think the first step, and the step that I think would be the easiest to find common ground, is to say, like, let's just cap student loans. Like, student loans can only be X%. And I don't know what that number should be. I think it should be pretty low, probably 3 to 4% at most. Because I hear some student loans are like 6+%, which is like huge. And the way they compound is like they're really grifting you. So that's my take. I think, you know, I don't necessarily fully agree with the idea like we should just like erase them. You know, because there's probably a lot of bad there's probably student debt, people that didn't go into the debt on a good faith basis. So, you know, you'd have to like vet that out, I think. You know, I think if you have student debt and you went to school and you like flunked out your first semester, like, I don't know why that should be forgiven. You know, extenuating circumstances, you make your case, I guess. But that's, again, it's like, I don't know. But yeah, I think the interest rate cap, let's start there and go from there. You know, I think that alone would still help out a ton of people, without making the people that already paid their dues feel bad about it. But I don't know, maybe that's, you know, it's a pretty hot button issue right now. So if you disagree with me, I'm sorry, but I would rather see you get help to some than just see politicians arguing back and forth and grandstanding, because it's an issue it's a hot button. Whereas I think, like I said, I think if you do an interest rate cap, I think you could get that approved very quickly. So, man, we kind of went all over the place today. But the moral of the story is, work when you work best, you know? And if people don't like it, fuck them. Why, you know? Why? Who cares? Like, if your mom's like, you're so lazy, you sleep all day. It's like, look at the results. That's what I say. You know, people used to be like, wow, you sleep till noon. And I'm like, look at the results. I'm doing okay, you know? And but then there's always the smart ass. It's like, oh, you could be doing better. And I'm like, no. If I woke up at 5 a.m. every day, I'd hate my life. That would suck. I'd rather stay up till 5. Go to sleep till noon. Wake up and not have an alarm. Like, it's a pretty great lifestyle. And I want that for you. I want everybody to have this. I don't want anyone to wake up to an alarm and go to a job they hate or they're underappreciated. That sucks. That's nonsense. Let's get out of that. I did it, and I'm kind of dumb, so I think anybody can do it. So that's kind of my hit is, you know, it's not, it takes some luck. It takes a lot more work, and it takes the realization of knowing when you got lucky and when your work paid off, and being able to synthesize and analyze those two things. I'm reading a book about that right now called Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke. It's very good. I do recommend that. But the basic thought process of the book is, life is not like chess, where you're gonna know everything, where it comes down to strategy, because that ain't it. It's more like poker, where you could be the best poker player in the world, but you pull an unlucky hand, you're still gonna lose. To someone who's never played poker before. So, just play the cards you're dealt as best you can. So there you go. Hope you're doing well. If you're not asleep, you made it this far, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, drop a comment down below. Otherwise, I hope you're asleep. I hope this accomplished that. So, if you're not asleep, go get some sleep so you can wake up feeling refreshed, so you can go tackle your goals, so we can get after it, and we can just go. We're gonna just be our best selves. We're gonna live our best lives, and I can't get you there, but I'm gonna do what I can to talk you through the process of getting there to yourself, to your best life, to waking up without an alarm, doing jobs you like. We can do it. You can do it. That's out there. That's out there for everybody, and I think we can do it. Because here's the thing. That there's this is like Office Space. It's like, what would you do if you had $1 million? And Michael's character is like, that question is pointless. If everyone had $1 million, there'd be no janitors out there to clean up shit and stuff. And here's what I'm gonna tell you is that there's enough people that are not willing to put in the work, or think it's all horseshit, that they're just never gonna do it. But I think if you want it, and if you can put in the smart work, you can put in the hard work, and you can put in the learning to know when you got lucky and when your work paid off, I think you can get there too. So, Godspeed. Go get some sleep. I'll see you tomorrow.